Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our hopefully final webinar as we prepare for the 2022 summer camp season for both our Scouts BSA and Cub resident camp. As you join us this evening, go ahead and put in the chat your troop number and where you're from. So that way we can keep an idea of who's been here with us tonight. We will go over several things that are becoming hot topics. As many of you are probably wondering questions on the certain things. What about COVID? What about the dining hall, check-in stuff? We're going to cover a lot of those things, and just sit back and relax, take in some of these new policies, procedures, and new updates that we have, and be sure to ask questions in the chat if you do have any that come through your mind. Tonight with us, we got Ash Stimke, our program director, and Max Kerpige, a part of our admin team. And we're excited to have all of you here. Just to kind of provide you with a couple of little updates, we have been here at camp now for almost a month, getting logistically ready for a lot of things, kind of getting our campsites squared away, program areas, and things of that nature. So we are right on the cusp of being ready to rock and roll, trying to put on some final touches and make sure everything is great for you guys upon arrival. So to dive into this, I see already we got a lot of questions. The dining hall, which is great because that was going to be the first thing that we covered tonight. The dining hall operation over the past couple of years have definitely been interesting when trying to run summer camp in a COVID-19 environment. And of course, we're always trying to figure out the best way to do that. How do we move forward, but also how do we keep our scouts and leaders' safety at the forefront? And so we've come up with a plan that we do believe will work very well. It's really not that much of a change, though it does have a few things. But we are trying to get back to some of the normalities of camp, including assembly is a big piece of this. And then how do we include assembly within running a 2-shift meal? How do we incorporate Wednesday nights into this, and so forth and so on? A lot of this is going to be sent out in email as we are just finalizing all of our documents right now and plans of how this is looking. We've been trying to put this together, and it's finally come together in the past few days with all of our team and stakeholders being a piece of this. So to give you a quick update on meals. So meals this summer, we will run a 2-shift meal, and it'll be based on your geographic location in camp. Therefore, the earlier shift will be based on people being closer to the dining hall. The later shift will be for folks that are a little bit further away from the dining hall and have a little bit of a longer walk. That meal time will stay the same. It will not switch halfway through the week. So please keep that in mind. The meals will start about 10 minutes earlier than they have in years past. Meal 1 will begin at 7:20 a.m. and end at 7:50 a.m., where we will then have a camp-wide assembly. And then at 8 a.m., meal 2 will start and end at 8:30. So that's 7:20 and 8 o'clock for meal times. These will be given out upon arrival to camp, as the campsites will change week by week based on the number of people. That'll be roughly split into half on who will be attending what meal, but it'll again be based off of geographically where you are located in camp. We will have a leaders meeting beginning each morning at 8:25. In the Philip Thompson shelter, which is the shelter located out in front of the dining hall and behind the parade ground. Our lunches will begin at 12:20 and 1 o'clock. Meal 1 is at 12:20. Meal 2 is at 1 o'clock. And for dinner number 1 will start at 5:50, and meal 2 will start at 6:30 with an assembly in between at 6:20. We will have the parade ground organized to where we will keep essentially half a camp on one side and the other on the other side of the parade ground to try to separate out the meals and limit the amount of congestion that takes place out there. And then the dining hall lines will operate from the outside 2 lines. You will go up the side of the building and go into a line where we will then operate 3 different serving lines plus a special diet line for anybody that may have allergies or special diets. We will operate a separate line for those individuals to go through. We will be using all throwaway cups and napkins and forks, things of that nature. Those of you that's been with us in the past 2 years have noticed that we use plastic forks and knives that come with a napkin and salt and peppers packets in a package, and you'll pick up your drink and go to the table. We will not be using the outdoor dining tent this summer, as we are putting everybody back into the dining hall for this year. We will again send this out in email so everybody can understand that. I appreciate you guys putting that in the chat at what time the meals will be going on. For assemblies, for dinner is when we do require Class A. If a unit would like to wear Class A to breakfast in the morning, they are welcome to. Our staff will be dressed in Class B for breakfast and lunch, and will be dressed in Class A for dinner, or the field uniform. However you guys take that, as it's changed a little bit. We're so used to saying Class A, Class B. So anyways, this again, leaders meeting will take place every morning at 8:25 a.m. We do ask that a leader from each unit attend that meeting. This is just for Scouts BSA. For Cub Week, we're going to operate on the normal schedule that we have in years past. We will be doing 1 meal shift assembly before breakfast and all that, and that's indicated in the schedule that is posted in the Leaders Guide online. So there's not much change in terms of Cub Resident Camp, but Scouts BSA is where the biggest change will take place. You will be, once you get into the dining hall on Sunday, you will be assigned a set of tables. That set of tables will be yours for the entire week. It is our plan at this point that essentially there won't be a whole lot of table sharing between units. That's our hope. We may have to happen the first 2 weeks of the summer, as we do have larger numbers, but our plan is to, when your unit comes in, they get these amount of tables and you don't have to share with others. There are no need for waiters at the beginning part of the meal. There is no organizing cups, silverware, anything like that. Our waiters are going to be necessary in the cleanup phases of each meal. Our waiters will be responsible for sweeping up the table, sanitizing the table and the benches, and taking out the trash. That's going to be their 3 key objectives each day, and you can rotate that through each table as necessary. Our plan for each table is to seat 6 individuals at each table. Okay, 6 individuals per table. Yes, to answer that last question, units will eat together. So during Sunday, we're going to keep our units as close together as we can as far as going through the line at first. When it comes to meals after that, if your unit kind of gets separated through the line or comes in late or whatever it may be, it's not a problem. You'll have your tables that you'll go directly to. It will not be kind of what it was the past 2 years, where we seat you each meal at a different table based on when you come through. That will not be the case. Your unit will have its own tables this summer. All righty. And those will be assigned to you. We will actually be coming around and essentially putting a sticker on the table that says this is Troop 25 East Carolina's, a couple of tables down through here. So each troop will have that. So that way, if you have scouts that get separated in the line or come through first, they know where they are supposed to be. Okay. All right. Going back through here, just want to make sure. Our plan for the summer is to have a salad bar available at dinner. We will not have it available at lunch. Drinks will be available for pickup in the middle of the dining hall as you come through with your plate, or you're welcome to sit back down, come up and get your drink afterwards, whatever works for you. All righty. Going back through my list, I just want to make sure I've got everything covered on my notes list as far as that goes. Our plan for announcements each day will be out on the parade ground at breakfast and dinner. And through lunch, if we need to make announcements, we'll do it at each meal. Our plan, though, for while you come in for your meal shift is to sit down, eat, and then, clean up and leave. There's no need for sticking around for the announcements to be made. Each morning on every table and in the mailboxes will be Knob Newses. Our Knob News is essentially the camp newsletter that we are going to use to cover most of the details that will be given through the day. This will help in two ways. Number one, it'll get the information to you quicker and be able to share with your scouts, and we'll brief in our morning leaders meetings each day. We've noticed over the past few years, what can we do to shorten this and get people moving as quickly as possible? So our leaders meetings will cover some very basic things that, are need to know for specific leaders, what we can do to help answer any questions and things like that, where we won't have a line of area directors and whatnot. A good question on mailboxes. In our dining hall at the front, there is a mailbox for every troop in camp. You'll want to check that mailbox at every meal. As mail comes into camp, we will take that to those mailboxes. If you have a scout that's in a package or an envelope, something like that, invoices, things of that nature will be put in your mailbox. So it's always good to check those at every meal to make sure you're staying up to date if anything comes in. All right. Ash, am I missing anything on this dining hall procedure? We pretty good?
Not that I can think of. I think that's about everything. Oh, it might be worth mentioning that we're having people line up along the sides of the dining hall, but that we will have 3 serving lines inside that we're splitting them between to kind of speed up the meal efficiency there.
Yep. So let's see here. I just want to make sure we're covering everything. This is different to us, and I hope you guys understand that we are trying to come up with the best way to do this every day. It may be a slightly bit different by the time you get here because we want to make sure that this is perfect for you all.
I think overall, one of our goals too is, particularly as a COVID precaution, minimizing time in the dining hall. The idea is that after assembly or before assembly, depending upon your meal shift, get in, get your food, eat your meal, and take off. You don't have to wait around and sit around for a long time.
Yep. Okay. All righty. So that being that, we're going to do the best we can to make sure that these meals are as seamless as possible. The first week, of course, will always be a kind of a, coming in hot, but our staff will be trained and prepared to make sure it is as smooth as it possibly can be. All right. Somehow I messed up my list here. All right. Moving on from the dining hall procedure, let's talk a little bit about COVID-19 and what we're seeing right now. I think the best way for you guys to understand what we've been working on the past few days and few weeks is trying to understand what kind of camping season we're going to have in the current COVID environment that we're working with. Running a camp, you have to make sure that we're keeping our scouts and our participants at the forefront. And we understand that, some folks have different opinions on what COVID should look like, but at the end of the day, we have to operate a camp to where when you guys leave, we have to sit back and say, we did the best we could to keep everybody safe at all times, no matter if it's COVID, food issues, programmatic things, all that type of stuff. We have to keep that at the forefront, and making sure that our scouts come in on Sunday and leave on Saturday as healthy as they showed up is absolutely the most important thing that we do in scouting and at this camp. So with COVID, we've been monitoring our situation, working with our staff here and a lot of our stakeholders across this operation, trying to figure out what makes the most sense. How do we do it? How do we implement it and all that? As of last night on the website, we have updated our COVID-19 policies and procedures. You can find that just by going to ravenknob.com and hitting the COVID-19 tab and looking at a few things. Just to kind of give you some background on why we've changed some of this over previous year is simple enough at looking at where we are in the nation and from the areas that we serve as far as what the COVID numbers are doing today. That COVID number could be totally different by the time we get to mid-July or even 2 weeks from now. And we understand that and can adjust from there. But we need to make sure that we're doing everything where we are currently to provide the most accurate program and safety precautions as possible. So what we are asking folks to do before you arrive is we highly encourage to screen our scouts and leaders for COVID-19 before departing to camp. This could include a COVID-19 test, a rapid test before you head this way, and monitoring symptoms. We do have a pre-event checklist that can be used to help with this. It has not been finalized yet. Will be put on the website hopefully in the next few hours for you guys to look at. We highly, highly encourage our units that are traveling from long distances away to understand that if a scout gets here and tests positive for COVID-19, that the scout, the carload, and potentially the entire troop could be sent home, because we can't have the risk in camp of having COVID-19 spreading past that. And so that's why we encourage folks, before you leave, let's just go ahead and be on the safe side of making sure that our scouts are clear before they get in the car and come here. They may be exposed on the way here. They may be exposed when they get here, but at least they know when they leave that they're going to be on a fresh start. So we definitely encourage that, especially for our really any unit traveling, because the last thing we want to do is send a scout home by all means. And this, and I see the question come in. This is for all participants, vaccinated or not, is what we would like to see. Again, this is highly encouraged for you all to do that, just to be on the safe side, and so we don't have to make awkward decisions and awkward conversations with different folks. So please understand where we're coming from that. We do not want to have a scout get here and be put in isolation all week. That's not our plan at all. We want people to come here and have a good time and not be miserable. If a scout or a leader, anybody coming into camp, does exhibit COVID-19 symptoms, you will be tested here at camp. And again, that can escalate from, really we look at it as Sunday, but the entire week. If a scout comes into our health lodge exhibiting COVID-19 symptoms, they will most likely be rapid tested for COVID-19. We will have tests on hand here at camp to be able to do that. All righty. A lot of the other COVID-19 policies have not changed too much. A lot of it is pretty much the same. When it comes to masking, we are not requiring masking at the dining hall or in necessarily other areas at camp, except for some key areas where there's long-term exposure indoors, which would be the program center and other STEM-related merit badges. So any scout that is taking a Trail to Eagle merit badge that is located inside, a handicrafts merit badge where it's located inside, or a technology-related merit badge inside, will be needed to be masked. We will have masks available, though we do recommend that they bring some with them just in case. The reason that we came to this is that our sessions are an hour long. Sometimes it's not a very easy space to spread out and social distance. So we felt like this was the best precaution, that if we did have an issue, this would be a way to help mitigate that from spreading in the session. All righty. I'm just going back down through this one more time. Those are pretty much the biggest changes. And at the very bottom of the COVID-19 policy page, you will see where we have some program changes. At this point, everything is a full go, with the exception of those couple of masking requirements. But please understand that the following things could change depending on the COVID situation and how camp is operating each week. I don't want to catch anybody off guard. These are things that we look at on a daily basis and say, all right, if something were to come up, what could we change to maybe help the spread or things of that nature? Some of those come down to field trips. Mountain biking, Citizenship in the Nation both take field trips off site. Cooking merit badge, where there's a whole lot of touch and cooking with another scout. The wilderness survival and camping overnighter could be canceled, but is not at this point. It's just a place where we felt like social distancing and mitigation strategies could be at risk. Same thing with climbing merit badge. If I don't anticipate this one happening necessarily, but any changes on the state and local level that would prohibit us from traveling there, or too many restrictions for us to. Again, a lot of this is what if, but we're going to do everything we can, and we hope that you'll put your best foot forward to help us with these what if situations. The national organization and a lot of summer camp operations use the Swiss cheese method. If anybody's ever heard of the Swiss cheese method, it's essentially each piece of cheese has a hole in it. But if you line up a whole lot of different pieces of Swiss cheese, your hole eventually is going to get covered. So our goal by the end of this block of Swiss cheese is to have everything covered from one end to another. So if one thing may slip through one hole, we'll block it with the next one. And so that's what we're trying to do here, is have a plan in place to roll it out, and do our best to make sure that we are here for you guys and everybody here stays safe. Again, this is based on the current COVID numbers, why we are looking back at this and trying to make some changes. I don't think that this is too much of a change based off of what we've done in the past. If a scout were to show up and exhibit COVID-19 symptoms in the past years, they would have been sent into town to have a COVID test or sent home. And then we would have gone through the same process. Luckily, in the past 2 years, we have not had a COVID-19 positive case in the early part of the week. It's always been towards the later part of the week where it's a little bit easy to mitigate the situation. But being ready on the front end is going to be crucial for our success for the week. All righty. If a scout were to arrive at camp and test positive, a refund would be issued except for $50. So keep that in mind. If a scout were to get here and send home, a full refund except $50 would be sent home. All right. Just looking through our questions here.
There's a question about vaccine dates on the health forms. I'm not sure the answer to that one.
Vaccine dates would be great to have on your health form. So we know if, sorry, I'm reading ahead here. Be great to have, we need those dates on the health form as best you can get them. What we really prefer to see is a state issued list on those. If not, your doctor's office can provide those vaccines. Is everyone being tested upon arrival or only if showing symptoms, according to CDC individuals? That is correct. And we understand that completely on the question on who is being tested. And that's something that we're monitoring. And it'll be a decision based on really a couple of different key points and based off of our camp physician and camp medical office here at camp of what that would look like. Our plan is not to send the entire troop home if one individual tests positive. Our plan is to monitor, isolate, and figure out how we work from there.
When you said that is correct, can you clarify whether everyone is being tested upon arrival or not?
No, not everyone is being tested upon arrival. But if a scout were to show up and test positive here at camp, that carload would be tested, and we would go from there. All right. In reference to, I would assume this is about leader health forms and the vaccine records. Same thing, Thomas, on that. What about leader health forms? It would be the same thing with those. If you're able to get the records, or if not, your doctor's office should have them for you. How are provisional scouts seated and sleeping? Provisional scouts are assigned to a host unit for the week. They will be seated with them in the dining hall for the entire week and assigned to that campsite with their host unit. All right. I'm going to filter back through some of these comments. Sorry. I'm going to filter back through some of these comments, Ash, and write some of them down so we can come back and answer them as we go forward. But Ash, if you want to hop in and talk about the check-in procedures, that way we've got all that squared away and how that's going to look this summer.
Sure. I can talk a bit about that. So many, you all should have received your email already with a sign-up link to select a check-in time for your Sunday check-in day. That way we can kind of stagger people throughout the afternoons on Sunday. Upon arrival to camp, you should go directly to your campsite. We'll have people at the front gate that can direct you there if you're not sure where to go for that. Upon arrival to the campsite, you'll need to unload your things and then get ready for your camp tour. That involves a couple of things. First of all, your troop guide, one of our staff members, will guide you from your campsite to a regional check-in location located somewhere near your campsite. where people from our administrative staff and our Health Lodge staff will be there to check you all in. So we'll handle the administrative paperwork and then also do the health screening for each scout and leader that's attending for the week. That's a great time to have your forms with you if you have not turned them in advance. The forms I'm talking about there, of course, include the BSA Medical Health Form, Parts A, B, and C, plus the North Carolina sort of summer camp parent permission form. We have that on our website as well, and our COVID-19 at-risk statement, which is also on our website. In fact, if that's something we could pull up, it might be good to show people where those things are. Just under the forms and guides page. Give us a second and Hunter will have that pulled up for you. But those are basically the big three things: the health form, the parental permission form, and the COVID-19 form as well. Each scout and participant will need to have those things with them. Here's where you can find that. Click on Scouts BSA. There's a page here under this tab called Leaders Guide and Forms. And then scrolling down from here, of course, it has the BSA medical form right there. That fourth one down says the outdoor parental release form. Every scout in your unit needs to have that brought with them. You can staple it to the health form if you'd like. And then the COVID-19 at-risk statement as well, which may not be on this page, but it's definitely on the COVID-19 tab, and maybe we'll add it here so it's easier to find that. But those are the main things to have there. Once you go to the admin and health check-in at that regional location, you'll continue with your camp tour, seeing where the dining hall is and where a couple other highlights in camp are. You will also stop by the waterfront and see the aquatics area. Down there, a member of the staff will greet you and give them your safety talk about kind of how the waterfront works. Units who have not done their swim tests in advance will then go into the waterfront and do their swim tests at that time. So it's important to make sure that if your scouts need to do swim tests, that they bring their swimming attire with them on the camp tour. Also located just down the road from the aquatics area is our Order of the Arrow Arena, our campfire ring. And that's where the troop photos will take place. So part of your camp tour is also getting a photo as a unit, and your troop guide can direct you to where that's located. The goal would be to have all that done over the course of the afternoon and then get you back to your campsite so you can change into your field uniforms for dinner that evening. As part of that camp tour, we'll make sure to take you through or past where the dining hall is so that you all can see the parade ground and where assembly is going to work, and talk to you a bit about kind of how that procedure will work throughout the day. Just reiterating something that we talked about earlier with the dining hall, because a couple of people were asking about scout waiters. In the past, pre-COVID, we had a waiter system where a few scouts from each unit would come up and set tables for their troop with silverware and drinks and things like that. The way the dining hall is working this year, just to reiterate, is that the waiters do not need to come early before the meal. The unit just needs to show up. And then after going through the line, sit at their tables. And then after the meal, the waiters will be responsible for cleaning up. So that means wiping down the tables and benches, taking out the trash, and sweeping under the table. That's about all I have as far as those check-in things, as far as what to expect on the Sunday when you arrive. And of course, the final thing happening Sunday night will be our opening campfire down in the arena. And I'm certainly excited for that. I missed doing campfires and excited to get back to that this summer. I think that's about all I got. Anything else, Hunter?
Did you go over the check-in sign-ups?
I mentioned that they had gotten an email about that. Yeah.
And that email will be resent out. It looks like a good number of folks have already done that, but it'll be resent out about that specific time. What we mean by that check-in time is when we expect your unit to come through the gate, because once you come through the gate, it starts the entire process of check-in. So that's what that means, essentially. And Greg asked, can we arrive earlier at a campsite to do setup and wait there for a troop guide at an appointment time? We do not. As far as when it comes to Sunday, we would prefer units show up at that time, unless they're coming in, Saturday night for an early arrival. We like the process to move as quickly as possible when folks do arrive, so it can kind of bog us down on our staff end, but also the back end as well. But But Greg, you can reach out to us and we can talk further more about that.
I'd like to respond to a question here. A couple people asking about sort of that midweek night. A couple people have mentioned Thursday night dinner. I just want to clarify for everybody, our family and visitor night, which we'll talk about here in a moment, is Wednesday night, not Thursday night. Thursday is just a typical night in camp with dinner in the dining hall and whatnot. We typically don't do a cook in camp thing like is being talked about there. I think Hunter's going to talk more about our visitor night here in a moment. But there are food options nearby, but we're going to want everyone in camp. And I think Hunter's going to say more about that here in a moment.
Greg, that would be fine. What you're saying would be fine. I see that now. Okay. All righty. Let's see here. All right. Going back through the questions. Exhibiting a temperature could is a COVID-19 symptom. Most COVID cases that we've seen in the past couple months have indicated a light fever as it has through the whole thing. And so that could warrant a COVID-19 test with our medical staff. They're professionals in the field and be able to make that determination, but it is a COVID-19 symptom and could very much so warrant a COVID-19 test on the spot. All righty. To answer a couple of other questions that I saw in here, Darren, the shower house at the new shower house that we are building on Lodge Road, which encompasses Ponca, Lakota, Comanche, Kiowa, and Arapaho campsites, is coming along great. It's going to be coming in with the paint wet, but it looks tremendous. This is what it kind of looks like right now, a little bit different in terms of there's a little bit more roofing on at this point, ridge cap. Essentially, we're waiting on our final inspection with electrical. So all the electrical will be hooked up, all the plumbing is done. So really to make it operational, all it needs at this point is some doors on it. And then it'll be good to go, but the water will be cold at this point. So we're going to get that power hooked up for everybody. And then we'll be pouring a slab out in front that is a sidewalk there as well. So a few more final touches to come in, but we'll all be ready to go here pretty shortly. Another question with arriving late. If you have a scout that arrives late on Sunday, not with the rest of the unit, it's not a problem. They will check in here at the administration building and then be sent to the health lodge for their essentially medical check with them. So they'll come. Everybody that'll check in will need to come to the administration building, and then they will be sent to the health lodge. And while we're on that topic, if your troop is arriving early, when I say arriving early, I mean Saturday. If your troop is planning to arrive on Saturday, please send us an email so we can make sure that we have that noted on your account and to expect you at that time. So just send us an email to registration@ravennob.com or to myself at hunter.day@ravennob.com. All right, going back to our questions here. Oh, yes. If you are planning to arrive by bus, tour bus, where you've hired a tour bus or bus to bring you to camp and the bus won't be staying here, send us an email about that as well. What we will do is have the bus meet us outside the camp gate at our maintenance facility, where we will be able to sorry, my computer's acting up here. We will be able to unload the bus and put it on one of our or a couple of our camp trucks and haul equipment to and from the campsite. So just let us know if you're planning on arriving by bus, what time you anticipate that bus to be here. Also, if you will go ahead, if you already had your departure time of when you'll be leaving on Saturday, please sure to send us that as well, because that's where you'll want the bus to pick you up from, is our maintenance facility. As you come into camp, you'll go through a camp gate. Right before that is our Rangers residence, and before that is our maintenance facility. We do have a sign there for buses to pull into. All right, and there's plenty of room there for them to turn around and do what they need to. Once they get into camp, it gets a little bit tighter. All righty. Just going back through here. All right. Also, talking about check-in Monday morning, your unit in their mailbox will have a Camp Raven Knob passport. The Camp Raven Knob passport is designed for each scout. That'll have their name, troop number, campsite, all that good stuff on it. On the inside, it'll have all their sessions for the day, locations, and a camp map. So when you come to camp, don't worry about having to cut out some little strip of paper to hand your kid. We will have a passport for them for every scout at breakfast on Monday morning. That'll have their schedule, locations, and everything that's needed. So keep that in mind that'll be ready for them on Monday. And if you have any schedule changes when you get to camp, be sure to express those as quickly as possible because we print those passports in the evening on Sunday night. So be sure to let us know as quickly as possible. If you do have a scout that has changes midweek or Monday, we'll print a new passport for that scout. So they have that. All righty. Special diet forms. I know we mentioned that earlier on the Leaders Guides and Forms page. If you have scouts coming with special diets, we would love to know ahead of time so we know what to prepare for and how much to prepare for that. Under the Leaders Guide, or sorry, if you will, Max, go to Scouts BSA and under Leaders Guides and Forms, towards the bottom, you'll find the special diet form. If you click on that, it will say to hopefully email that to registration@ravenknob.com. If it'll load up here. It says you can mail it to us. We would prefer it gets emailed, so we'll get that changed. But you can email that to us at any point in time. And I appreciate all the ones that we have seen so far for these earlier parts of the summer. Ash, do you have something?
Oh, no. I was just going to say, as far as the special diets go, we're pretty accommodating to a lot of different dietary needs, whether that be vegetarian, gluten-free, dairy-free, kosher, various food allergies, things like that. So
yep.
Let us know.
Yep, absolutely. And if you have any questions on special diets, I talk to parents, scouts, leaders on a daily basis about special diets and what we can best do to accommodate for those. So give me a call if you have any concerns or questions, and we can walk through it and go over a few options. All right, Wednesday nights, which is our family night, as Ash has mentioned. We will be allowing visitors to come back into camp and enjoy our Wednesday night campfire with our scouts and our participants, leaders, staff, and all of that. So they will be invited to come to camp and spend that evening with us, get to see the campfire, go to the trading post, and hang out with us. To mention, on Wednesday night, a lot of our local units or units that are closer by have family come in and they kind of do a potluck dinner in the campsite. And this is something that we've done in years past and really enjoy getting some home cooking, if you will, during the week. It's a nice, refreshing way to kind of kick back and enjoy the evening with our friends and family that come to see us. All units are encouraged to do that. If a unit is from out of state or doesn't have people coming in, we do have those options for you. The first option is that our dining hall will provide a food for you no matter what. So if you don't have family coming in to help provide that meal, we'll have food to you. What we have not figured out, and we'll rotate on a weekly basis, if that meal will be delivered to your campsite or if it'll be served out of the dining hall. That's going to be on a weekly basis. Our typical Wednesday night meal is fried chicken and baked beans, roll, individual sliced pound cake. It's really a good meal. But over the past few weeks, we have noticed that fried chicken that we normally get has become harder to get. So I know we'll have it for some, but if there's a week that something may slip up with the supply chain, our plan will first be able to try to get that food to the campsite, but it may be served out of the dining hall. We'll keep you up to date. Yeah, absolutely. Just reach out to me if you're sharing a campsite. Just reach out to me. I'd be happy to share that contact information. A lot of our out-of-state units that end up sharing a campsite with someone more local that is able to do this, find out ways to kind of incorporate both units into the family night, and it makes for a really good time of fellowship for all of our troops. So just reach out to me, and I'll be happy to share that information along. All right. let's see here. So family is allowed. Max, what do we have on the website there? I'm having a tough time seeing it. As far as what time we've got in there for folks to start arriving. 7 p.m. We're going to change that from 7 p.m. to
That's left over from last year. Yeah.
Sorry, that's from last year when we had our ticket system. But we will update that. In fact, I think I have it on the code.
I believe we said 5:30 for this year.
Yeah. So 5:30. Yeah, that is correct. Sorry, I just had to go back. It's been a few years. Apologies for slipping the mind there. 5:30 is when the gates will open for folks to come in. For
right. And there's really no need to come before that. Our scouts will be involved in program until at least 5 o'clock, and they'll have to get back and get changed and ready for the evening. So about 5:30, 6 or so is about the time to be rolling in.
Yep. We highly encourage that folks do not come in earlier than that. We have scouts that are trying to get to and from sessions, and it becomes a little bit of a headache. So please no visitors before the 5:30 time. We will have staff members at the gate to help direct families that are coming in. The trading post will be open in the evening if anybody wants to stop by there after campfire.
I believe the store is typically open before campfire as well, and then we'll have the store and the snack side open afterwards.
That's correct. That's correct. All right. The next thing on my list here is talking about golf carts and UTVs. Several of our units have folks coming that are unable to get around camp. We are a mountainous camp, and it is difficult for some folks to move around, and we understand that. If you do have a golf cart coming to camp, there is a specific training that you will need to take, and we will be sending that out via email after this meeting. If you are planning on bringing, there's a difference here between a golf cart and a UTV. A UTV is anything described as like a Kubota, a Kawasaki Mule, a Polaris Ranger of sorts, a Gator. Those things are considered UTVs, which require a different level of training. It requires one online training and then a second training once you get here to camp with our Camp Ranger. So we'll get that information to you. I did get an email this week about a UTV and wanted to cover that tonight. So if anybody is planning on bringing one of those more industrialist machines, those will be used. Those will need a special training once you get here to camp. Just send me an email and I'll make sure to give you our Camp Ranger's name. Once you get here, we can get you caught up with them. So that way we got everything squared away. If you do have a golf cart coming or a UTV, it is required to have a first aid kit and a fire extinguisher on board. So please make sure you have those two things covered. We are unable to provide fire extinguishers and golf carts for those vehicles. So please make sure that you have that covered. If you have somebody in your troop that has an injury or needs to get around camp, we do issue driving passes on a limited basis, but you need to come by our administration building and talk with us about that. Okay. The UTV training does not expire. It does not expire. Good question. All righty. Going back through my list here. Mike McGurr, the softball team always has ringers involved for the staff side, so just watch out. That's a good mention, though. Friday, we will have a staff versus Scoutmaster softball game. When exactly that's going to take place is a good question with the meal structure the way it is right now. So we'll double back on that one. We've been trying to figure out how to make sure everybody eats first. But we should be playing softball again this year. So maybe in the evening one night or something to that nature. But that normally takes place right after lunch on Friday. But little bit of a limited gap at this point with the 2 meal shifts. All righty. Let's see here. Going back through my list. For folks that are sending in health forms ahead of time, this is a way to qualify for express health checks. You still have to go through a health check process. Don't get me wrong. You still have to go through a health check process, but it's a little bit shorter and less in depth. If your unit is planning on sending in their health forms ahead of time for our Health Lodge staff to review, go ahead and make the buddy tags, get the allergies and all of that off of the list, so we got it taken care of. It shortens down your check-in time just a little bit, and it helps us be better prepared when you get here. So if you want to send those in, we do ask that they be here at least 2 weeks prior to arrival. We understand you might have some dragging behind, things like that. Go ahead and send in what you got so we can go through them and start compiling our list. So if you're going to send those, we do ask that they are mailed. Mail those to us at the Camp Raven Knob address, which is 266 Raven Knob Road. If Max scrolled down, or he's got it right there. 266 Raven Knob Road, but make it attention to the Health Lodge so we can get that to them. All righty. I'm just going back through my list here. We're about 45 minutes in, a little bit longer than I was hoping for, but anyways, double check. All righty. So that wraps up our main topics here that we have. Again, we are very excited for the summer. We've got a tremendous staff that's coming in for 2022. We're putting the final touches on our campsites, on our program areas. Our staff officially rolls in on Wednesday for our week of staff week, which includes, getting program areas ready, getting our needs list squared away, and getting everybody trained up through and through. We've got about 25 staff members that are here right now that just couldn't wait at home any longer. They had to get up here to camp. So on Wednesday, we'll have our staff here. On June 15th, we're excited to welcome our Cub Scouts here to camp. Very excited to have our Cub resident camp. And then we'll get started with week 1 on June 19th, which is Father's Day. So always remember that on June 19th. And then we will wrap up for the summer on July the 30th. And our staff will go home on July 31st and August 1st. So anyways. Oh, Greg, that is a great point on talking about Wednesday nights. I meant to mention that. Number one, we do provide food for those units that don't have family coming in. But if a troop wanted to go out and get pizzas from in town, want to cook something in the campsite, by all means, you are welcome to do that. It's something a little bit different than camp food. You're always welcome to do that. Domino's and Papa John's are really good to us at Raven Knob. They normally will deliver to camp if it's over $100, or you can go pick it up and they may run you an even better special for doing that. Tony, I think we got that squared away. Just reach out to me. Shoot me an email if you would. And I will mention that I do apologize for some of the email delays. We get probably between 75 and 100 emails about every half day, it seems like. So just double that each day. And it's a team of about 4 of us that are going through it. So it takes a little while. Sometimes it takes a little bit of follow-up and things like that. So Tony, shoot me an email and we'll get all that squared away for you. All right. Well, we're counting down the days. Go to the Cub Resident tab there, Max. 8 days, 17 hours, 41 minutes until we welcome campers back to Raven Knob. So very exciting. A photocopy will work for the health forms, sleeping facilities. I'm not sure what your question is in regards to sleeping facilities. So you're welcome to go ahead and put in the chat. This thing will keep running. We'll continue to answer. But we're going to hop off. If you need anything, feel free to reach out. We are here at camp currently during business hours answering phones. Sometimes we're here earlier in the morning. Sometimes we're here at late. Steve, I know for a fact that you guys are not sharing a campsite. So I know that right off the top of my head. But you can check under the Scouts BSA tab under available campsites. All righty. If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out, and we are going to end this broadcast for tonight. Thanks for all you do. Thank you for what you do for scouting, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.